Once feared as apex predators capable of swallowing humans whole, pythons today are not only a source of highly sought-after exotic meat, but also a symbol of luxury fashion, generating billions of dollars for the global industry. But did you know that around 3 million pythons are raised, harvested, and processed every single year? It all begins at thousands of carefully planned modern python farms, where these massive reptiles are fed, raised, and cared for under the close supervision of experienced handlers. Then, through a strictly controlled system, the pythons are transported to specialized processing plants, where skilled workers and advanced machinery work together to harvest not only the valuable meat and fat used in traditional medicine, but also the premium skin that fuels the global luxury fashion industry. Today, let's join Agriculture Insight as we follow the trail of this extraordinary reptile and discover how humans have transformed fear into a powerful economic opportunity. Right now, let's explore dangerous animals together. For millions of years, giant pythons, some reaching lengths up to 6 times that of an average adult human, have been among the most feared predators of the jungle, where each constricting coil delivers a silent death sentence. With long muscle fibers acting like living steel cables, every shallow breath of the prey only tightens the coils further, until bones snap, hearts stop, and life quietly fades away. Then, with jaws that can stretch far beyond the limits of ordinary anatomy, the python swallows the entire carcass whole. As apex predators, pythons not only dominate the food chain with their silent yet deadly hunting strategy, but also play a crucial role in regulating the populations of other animals, from rodents and wild boars to even young crocodiles. Not only that, pythons also possess an exceptional reproductive ability, turning wild python populations into relentless biological machines, with the number of wild pythons estimated at around 20 million individuals. Yet humans have never been ones to submit to such creatures. Today, out of more than 40 python species in the world, only 2, the Burmese python and the reticulated python, have been domesticated, turning millions of once mysterious reptiles into the foundation of a billion-dollar meat and leather industry. This dramatic transformation has now expanded to over 20 countries, including Indonesia, Thailand, Vietnam, and several African nations, with China leading the way, home to thousands of large-scale python farms and processing facilities concentrated mainly in its southern provinces. So what exactly makes pythons so highly sought after in the luxury market? In addition to its meat and fat, which are widely used in traditional food and medicine, python skin is highly coveted in the luxury fashion industry for its softness, natural flexibility, and uniquely unreplicable scale patterns, driving prices to over $100,000 for exclusive products from renowned brands like Yves Saint Clair, Hermès, Gucci, Prada, and Louis Vuitton. Despite being known as one of the most dangerous reptiles on the planet, a python's life begins from something surprisingly humble, a small egg. And from this small start comes an industrial process that's anything but simple. Between April and August, depending on the region, after a gestation period of 30 to 50 days, female pythons are moved into controlled enclosures designed to mimic natural conditions and stimulate the egg-laying process. At this stage, the mother python will choose a spot she instinctively considers the safest and coil her body tightly to begin laying her eggs. Each female can lay between 20 and 80 eggs per clutch, while exceptionally large individuals may produce over 100 eggs in a single reproductive cycle. Though non-venomous, the mother python, driven by strong maternal instincts, becomes extremely sensitive and aggressive during this period to protect her offspring. Therefore, farmers must collect the eggs within the first 1 to 2 hours after laying, using extreme caution and precision, both to ensure their own safety from potential attacks at any moment and to minimize stress for the mother python as the eggs are carefully removed for incubation. After collection, the python eggs are placed in trays filled with moist sawdust or vermiculite, carefully positioned to protect the embryo's orientation. The most critical factors throughout the incubation process are maintaining a stable temperature of 30 to 31 degrees and relative humidity between 80 to 90%. Unlike many other reptiles, where incubation temperature can determine the sex of the offspring, a python's gender is already set at the moment of fertilization, locked into its chromosomes from the very beginning. One special feature is that python eggs have a soft shell due to the lack of a protective membrane. Therefore, after 50 to 70 days of incubation, farmers do not wait for the pythons to hatch naturally, as they would in the wild, but instead use surgical blades or scissors to cut the shells. This process not only ensures a uniform hatching rate, but also allows for sorting the hatchlings immediately after birth. Surprisingly, during the first 7 to 10 days, hatchlings do not eat at all. Their bodies survive entirely on the remaining yolk sac. After that, they begin feeding every 5 to 7 days on small frozen prey, such as newborn mice, chicks, or specially prepared processed feed. If you raise pigs, they require 5 to 6 months to reach market size. Pythons, however, grow rapidly, reaching commercial length and weight in just 2 to 3 months, allowing them to quickly enter the fattening phase in separate enclosures. There are 2 critical factors in this phase. First, reptiles are highly sensitive to their living environment, so python enclosures must be carefully designed to mimic natural conditions, maintaining a stable temperature between 28 to 32 degrees Celsius and a high humidity level ranging from 70 to 90%. Secondly, pythons require a significantly higher nutritional intake during this phase, consuming 2 to 3 times more food compared to the previous stage, to support rapid weight gain and optimal skin development for commercial purposes. Unlike other livestock that require daily feeding, pythons are typically fed every 7 to 14 days, with each meal amounting to approximately 10% of their body weight per feeding. Despite being domesticated over many generations, the predatory instinct of these reptiles remains extremely strong. Therefore, farmers must use tongs or specialized tools to feed the pythons, because with just a moment of carelessness, a human arm could become the meal instead of the prepared food. After 2 to 3 years of patient care, when the python reaches a length of 3 to 5 meters and a weight of 10 to 20 kilograms, it is finally time for the farmers to harvest their long-awaited reward. In the standardized industrial python processing procedure, the first step is to immobilize the python, with the most common method being the use of a rubber or wooden mallet to stun the animal, ensuring the safety of the handlers and preventing violent reflexive reactions that could be dangerous. Interestingly, the nervous system of reptiles operates based on spinal reflexes, so it typically takes about 5 to 10 minutes for the python to completely stop twitching, tail thrashing, or even constricting tightly if it was coiled beforehand. Once the python's body has reached a completely motionless state, workers proceed to make a long, sharp, and continuous incision along the python's body, starting from the underside of the jaw all the way down to the tip of the tail. Have you ever wondered why, despite such a long incision, pythons don't bleed as much as other animals? Leave your thoughts in the comments below. Immediately after the incision, A physical separation process is carried out by gently pumping clean water into the subdermal layer at low pressure to loosen the skin from the underlying flesh. At this point, the python is hung vertically to take advantage of gravity, allowing the skin to slide off gradually in a smooth and even motion. Workers carefully peel the skin off centimeter by centimeter, using precise techniques to avoid tearing or leaving any flesh attached. Even a small scratch can reduce the value of the skin by hundreds of dollars, especially for skins longer than 3 meters, which are highly sought after in the luxury fashion industry. After the skin is removed, the python meat is carefully separated. Python meat has an ivory white color, with long, firm muscle fibers and a high protein content, but low fat, offering a mild, slightly gamey flavor that is often compared to a cross between chicken and fish. In the market, it is typically sold at prices ranging from $10 to $20 per kilogram, with strong demand in China, Vietnam, Thailand, and various Southeast Asian countries, or at even higher prices in nations where python meat is considered a rare delicacy. And it doesn't stop there. Unlike pork or beef fat, python fat exists in the form of small, soft, and slippery lumps, which are collected and processed into traditional medicinal oils, balms, and skincare products used to treat skin conditions, burns, and joint pain. But that's only half of the journey, because the crown jewel of the python, its skin, will continue through specialized processing to become luxury fashion products for world-renowned brands like Hermes, Gucci, Prada, and Louis Vuitton. Fresh python skin is highly susceptible to decay if not treated immediately. That's why one of the oldest preservation techniques developed by humans thousands of years ago is salt curing. This stage lasts 24 to 48 hours, allowing the salt to absorb moisture, eliminate the fishy odor, and prevent bacterial growth, with a thick layer of salt about 2 to 3 centimeters covering the entire surface of the skin. After the salting process and thorough rinsing, the skin officially enters the tanning phase, a crucial process that transforms the fragile raw hide into a durable, supple material, with a lifespan that can extend up to 30 years. The entire process is carried out in an industrial tanning drum, where python skin is evenly soaked in tanning agents such as chromium sulfate or transparent plant-based compounds for 6 to 8 hours, allowing the chemicals to penetrate deep into each collagen fiber through the principle of diffusion. After the tanning process, python skin moves on to the dyeing stage. Today, there are 2 preferred dyeing methods: fashion dyeing with bold, trendy colors, or preserving the skin's natural tones, highly valued by the luxury market for its one-of-a-kind patterns. After dyeing, the python skin undergoes another round of drum processing to soften the leather and infuse conditioning oils. Together with tanning and dyeing, these are the 3 core steps that create the distinctive natural gloss of genuine python leather, something synthetic embossed leather can never replicate. Next, the python skins are removed from the conditioning oil baths and carefully laid out on glass panels or flat tables. Skilled artisans use rubber squeegees to evenly spread the surface, pushing out air bubbles, pressing the oil deep into each collagen fiber, and removing excess oil. Afterward, the skins are left to rest for an additional 6 to 12 hours, allowing the oil to fully penetrate the structure and the surface to stabilize before moving on to the final finishing steps. And the creation of multicolored python skins usually begins with surface spray coloring, a common method used for mass-market python leather products. However, for python leather destined for the luxury fashion segment, craftsmanship is elevated to an entirely new level through the hand-brushing technique. Skilled artisans use fine brushes to meticulously apply dyes directly onto each individual scale, highlighting the natural patterns, adding depth, and artfully blending color gradients from subtle fades to bold contrasts. This handcrafted process transforms each skin into a one-of-a-kind piece of art, custom-tailored to meet the exclusive requirements of luxury fashion houses. Going deeper into the heart of the process, artisans use high-speed polishing wheels, rotating at 1,500 to 3,000 revolutions per minute, to gently buff the surface of the python skin, bringing out the sharp definition of the scales and creating a natural, glossy effect. This step is absolutely critical because polishing not only brightens the surface, but also softens the edges of the leather and removes any excess oil or residue left on the scales from previous treatments. After polishing, the python skins are passed through an automated finishing spray system, where a fine protective coating is evenly applied to enhance gloss, stabilize color, and protect the surface, preparing the skins for final grading and export. In a world where everything is ranked, python skins are no exception. They are graded into levels, from flawless, premium skins priced up to $500 per square meter, to mid-tier selections, and lower grades starting at just $50, typically used for handicrafts or small accessories. After grading, hundreds of thousands of python skins are carefully rolled and stored in climate-controlled warehouses before being exported to major fashion capitals around the world, including Italy, France, the United States, and Japan. But before transforming into luxury items like handbags, wallets, shoes, or high-end watch straps, each python skin must pass rigorous quality inspections and obtain a CITES permit, ensuring legal and sustainable trade in the global market. With its soft, flexible yet durable texture and sharp, well-defined scale patterns, python leather offers a lighter, more versatile alternative to crocodile leather, while still retaining its distinct sense of luxury and artisanal artistry. The process of crafting python leather into bags, shoes, and wallets is a seamless blend of fine craftsmanship and meticulous detail management, meeting the most demanding standards of the world's wealthiest and most discerning clients. From fearsome jungle predators to coveted symbols of luxury, pythons have undergone a remarkable transformation, becoming the heart of a billion-dollar industry where nature, craftsmanship, and fashion converge. Modern silkworm farming and silk production today represent a true revolution, far beyond the traditional, manual methods that existed for thousands of years. This dramatic transformation has paved the way for silkworms to be raised and processed industrially on a large scale across many countries, especially China, which dominates 70% of global raw silk production, amounting to nearly 60,000 tons per year. Though its appearance might be frightening to some, the silkworm creates something more precious than gold. With farms that can span tens of thousands of square meters, and they continue to expand in scale. So what is it that has kept silk so irresistibly captivating for millennia? Silk threads spun by the most common silkworm species, Bombyx mori, light as breath yet stronger than steel by weight, are the crystallization of an exceptionally intricate natural protein structure, made of a strong fibroin core tightly bound by a protective sericin layer. This dual protein architecture gives silk its unmatched combination of strength, softness, and natural sheen, a marvel that humans have yet to replicate artificially. As a timeless symbol of elegance, skillfully connecting Eastern and Western cultures, mulberry silk carries profound historical and artistic value and is celebrated today in haute couture collections worth hundreds of thousands of dollars from luxury fashion houses such as Hermès, Dior, Valentino, and Elie Saab. And the journey of the world's most luxurious silk begins with the simplest of things, silkworm eggs. more delicate than specks of dust. If not killed for silk reeling, then after about 9 to 10 days inside specially selected cocoons, the pupae will emerge as adult moths and be ready to reproduce within just 2 to 4 hours. Importantly, silkworms are extremely sensitive, so this process must take place in individual trays or mesh enclosures, under soft lighting and in a quiet environment to ensure optimal results. Over thousands of years of domestication, the moth has lost its ability to fly due to its shrunken wings, weak chest muscles, and overly heavy body. That is how we have designed the silkworm to produce silk for its entire life. Over the next 24 to 48 hours, each female moth can continuously lay between 300 and 500 eggs. These tiny eggs gradually change color from pale yellow to gray, a clear sign of successful fertilization. After being carefully collected and cold stored, only the highest quality eggs are transferred to incubation chambers, where ideal conditions of 24-25 degrees Celsius and 80 to 85% humidity are maintained to trigger hatching. Then, following a patient wait of around 10 days, tiny silkworm larvae begin to emerge, marking the start of a life journey that is both fragile and extraordinary. In the early stage rearing phase, newly hatched silkworms are transferred into flat trays at a density of approximately 1,500 to 2,000 larvae per square meter, where they are carefully incubated for 4 to 5 days to help them adapt to their new environment. At this stage, the tiny creatures are fed nutrient-rich mulberry leaf cakes using automated spreaders. They feed continuously, day and night, growing rapidly with each passing day, much like popcorn kernels bursting in a hot pan. To keep pace with this explosive development, they undergo 2 molting cycles, a vital process that allows their skin to shed and stretch, making room for swift growth before entering the main rearing stage. As they complete these crucial early stages, the silkworms are then ready to move into the main rearing phase, where their growth accelerates and their care intensifies. To prepare for the maturation phase, the silkworm's diet changes significantly. Every early morning, farmers head to the mulberry gardens to harvest fresh leaves, especially those from the middle to lower parts of the branches, where the nutrient levels are best suited for growing silkworms. An interesting fact, silkworms do not drink water throughout their entire life cycle. That's why ensuring the leaves are completely dry before feeding is an essential step in professional silkworm farming. If the leaves are still wet with dew or moisture, they can cause bloating, disease, or even mass mortality among the silkworms. Now, feeding the silkworms becomes a race against time, as the appetite of billions surges dramatically. In the most modern farms, they are raised on floors spanning tens of thousands of square meters, providing spacious environments for optimal growth. Instead of finely chopped tender leaves, silkworms now require larger, more mature mulberry leaves to satisfy their increasing hunger. They are fed fresh leaves 5 to 6 times a day, carefully spread out to ensure even distribution, not only to promote efficient feeding, but also to reduce stress and overcrowding, which could lead to suffocation. An indispensable factor during this period is the application of lime to sterilize the environment by killing harmful bacteria and fungi, reducing the risk of disease, while also helping to maintain a balanced pH level. During this final feeding period, which lasts around 10 to 12 days, the silkworms undergo 2 additional molts to keep up with their rapid growth. At this stage, feeding is no longer a simple task. It becomes a delicate symphony between nature and precision, all in preparation for the next phase, spinning their precious golden cocoons. When silkworms show signs of a translucent abdomen and reduced appetite, farmers, relying on their experience, gradually lower the hanging frame system made of straw, bamboo, or plastic closer to the ground. From there, among billions of tiny compartments, these gentle creatures instinctively find their favorite spots to settle and spin their cocoons. Thanks to a sophisticated silk gland system, much like that of spiders, the silkworm spins by rhythmically moving its head in a figure-8 pattern, producing thousands of loops of filament that can stretch over 1,000 meters. Within just 2 to 3 days, it forms a cocoon, both a safe haven and a precious treasure for the silk industry. So what truly happens inside this mysterious cocoon? Over the next 7 to 10 days after completing its cocoon, the silkworm lies still and silently transforms into a pupa, a crucial metamorphosis preparing it for the next stage in its extraordinary life cycle. While waiting for Bombyx mori silkworms to spin their cocoons, there's another remarkable species you may have never heard of, the tussa silkworm. Renowned for its wild silk threads that are 2 to 3 times stronger than those of its domesticated cousin. Moths harvested from the previous season are stored in hundreds of separate cages, ensuring stable environmental conditions to maintain their health and reproductive ability. They are then evenly released onto hanging racks inside the rearing cages, where they have space to fly freely and mate naturally. After about 3 to 5 days, an important technique involves farmers gently shaking the racks with sticks to dislodge pollen, stimulating more effective mating and increasing egg fertilization rates. Unlike cultivated silkworms that feed exclusively on mulberry leaves, tussa silkworm eggs hatch into larvae that are raised to maturity on oak, elm, or wild apple leaves. A defining difference is that tussa silkworms are usually allowed to complete their life cycle and emerge as moths, ensuring genetic diversity and supporting long-term sustainability rather than prioritizing silk yield alone. Thanks to its rich texture, natural golden hue, and ethical appeal, premium wild tussa silk is typically reserved for luxury fashion or bespoke works of art, with some final creations commanding prices in the millions. After days of hard work and patient waiting, it's finally time for farmers to reap the rewards of their labor. In the past, silkworm cocoons were harvested entirely by hand. Farmers would skillfully pluck each cocoon from the bamboo frames using their fingers. While this manual method was simple and low cost, it was extremely time-consuming when dealing with tens of thousands of cocoons in a single batch. That's why, with the rise of industrial-scale sericulture, the demand for higher efficiency and reduced labor led to the development of mechanical aids. Today, semi-automatic hand-operated machines and fully automated cocoon harvesters are widely used, increasing harvesting speed by 5 to 10 times compared to manual methods, minimizing loss, and ensuring uniform cocoon quality. This marks a crucial transformation that helps modernize the silk industry and expand its reach to global markets. And from here, the fate of each cocoon and the silkworm pupa inside takes one of 2 paths. A fortunate few will continue their life cycle, emerging as moths to produce eggs for the next season. The rest are sent to the factory, where their golden threads are transformed into luxurious silk. When thousands of tons of cocoons arrive at the factory, the transformation into silk begins with the sorting stage. Skilled workers carefully examine each cocoon, selecting them based on criteria such as size, weight, uniformity, and shell thickness. Only the highest quality cocoons are chosen for premium silk production, ensuring the final product meets the finest standards of texture and craftsmanship. Next comes a critical step to prevent the silkworm from developing into a moth and breaking the cocoon. This is done by exposing the live cocoons to high temperatures through methods such as steam treatment, hot air drying, or immersion in hot water. This process not only halts metamorphosis, but also sterilizes the cocoons and preserves the unbroken structure of the silk filaments, ensuring longer shelf life and superior thread quality. But that alone isn't enough to soften the sericin, the natural protein that acts as glue, binding the silk fibers together. So after the pupae are removed, the cocoons are gently warmed in hot water at around 60 to 90 degrees Celsius. Now, the heart of the entire process begins to beat, as the softened cocoons enter the mesmerizing silk reeling stage. If you look closely, you'll notice the rotating brushes gently swirling in hot water, not only to loosen the outer sericin layer, but also to skillfully locate the silk filament's end, finer than a strand of hair. As soon as the brushes uncover and separate this delicate tip from the cocoon, a sharp-eyed worker quickly identifies it and carefully guides it into the reeling machine. From there, shimmering strands flow like a silver stream, each formed by combining threads from 5 to 10 cocoons and wound evenly onto spools. Though a single cocoon can yield up to 1,000 meters of silk, it takes between 2,500 to 3,000 cocoons to produce just half a kilogram of raw silk, the precious material behind the world's finest silks. Once the raw silk threads are drawn, they move on to the twisting stage, where multiple fine filaments are gently spun together to enhance their strength, consistency, and suitability for weaving. This is also the moment when skilled artisans can blend different silk types to create unique textures, desired thicknesses, or subtle variations in color and sheen. Interestingly, the twisting density of silk is entirely different from that of wool or alpaca fiber. Animal fibers, being shorter and more fragile, require a tighter twist to ensure durability. In contrast, silk filaments are naturally long, smooth, and lustrous, needing only a gentle twist to preserve their signature drape, softness, and shimmer. This delicate balance gives each silk thread a soul of its own, shaping not only the texture, but also the emotion and elegance of the fabric it will soon become. However, to truly reach their full potential, the freshly spun silk threads must undergo a special transformation, the degumming process. This is done by soaking the twisted threads in warm water mixed with a mild, alkaline solution. As the sericin slowly dissolves, what remains is the pure essence of silk, lighter, softer, and unbelievably smooth. In that very moment, the thread awakens, no longer raw fiber, but a living material ready to become something magical. Before being placed on the loom, premium silk threads undergo a special step, yarn dyeing, a moment when artisans breathe soul into each living strand of silk. Each bundle of silk is soaked in a dye bath for 4 to 6 hours, where natural colorants, extracted from indigo leaves, pomegranate rinds, rosewood, or sappanwood roots, seep deep into the fibers. This traditional yarn dyeing technique forms the foundation for intricate woven patterns, such as ikat or brocade. Meanwhile, for solid-colored silks or hand-painted fabrics, the entire cloth is dyed after weaving, creating flowing layers of color that blend harmoniously, soft and fluid like water. After the dyeing process, the premium silk threads are ready to enter their final stage, weaving. Depending on the intended use and local traditions, the silk may be woven on traditional handlooms or modern industrial machines. Regardless of the method, this is the moment when thousands of threads move rhythmically, crisscrossing, undulating, flowing with softness yet precision, to form smooth, lustrous sheets of silk. Each woven fabric is no longer just a material. It is a living artwork, ready to become garments, art pieces, or one-of-a-kind handcrafted masterpieces. Many people think kangaroos are cute and gentle animals until they see a tall, muscular one boxing with a human or locking a hunting dog in a headlock on the grasslands. In reality, kangaroos are quite combative and have a strong territorial instinct, especially during mating season. A fully grown male can reach up to 2 meters in height, weigh over 90 kilograms, with bulging muscles and kicks exceeding 850 psi, strong enough to break a grown man's bones. Kangaroos may be one of the most unique animals in the world, as few species are both national symbols and legally hunted and processed right on the land they represent. But there's a reason for that. With a population of nearly 50 million, twice the number of people in Australia, they are growing out of control. Traveling in herds, feeding heavily, and being active at night, kangaroos compete with livestock for food, break fences, trample crops, and cause damage amounting to billions of dollars. That's why, to control the population and reduce losses, around 1.5 to 2 million kangaroos are hunted annually under government plans. And among them, two of the most valuable things humans extract from kangaroos are: first, the red meat, famous for its rich flavor, natural leanness, and iron and protein content 2 to 3 times higher than beef. Second, the skin, which is highly prized in the luxury fashion industry by renowned brands like Gucci, Prada, and Louis Vuitton. But before becoming a resource for the meat and leather industries, the journey of every kangaroo begins with the most primal instinct: reproduction. Unlike many mammals, kangaroos do not have a fixed breeding season and can mate and give birth year-round. However, their reproductive cycle is heavily influenced by environmental conditions, particularly water and food availability. After heavy rains, when the grasslands turn green again, mating and birthing rates often surge. During mating season, males become even more combative and are always ready to engage in real boxing matches, standing upright on their hind legs, punching with their front limbs, then using their tail as a pivot to launch powerful double kicks with their hind legs. Each match can last several minutes, with blows strong enough to knock down an opponent. The goal of this process is not just to win the right to mate, but also to establish hierarchy and dominance within the group. Only the victor gets access to the females, while the defeated can only watch from the sidelines. Another unique aspect of kangaroo reproduction is that the mother carries her baby for only about 30 to 36 days. At birth, the joey is incredibly small, just 2 to 2.5 centimeters long, weighing less than 1 gram, and resembling a blind little bean. Many people mistakenly believe that kangaroos give birth inside the pouch, but in fact, the joey is born through the birth canal, like in other mammals. However, thanks to an extraordinary survival instinct, it can crawl on its own up to the mother's belly and into the front pouch, a warm, safe shelter, where it continues to grow for several more months. The joey remains in the mother's pouch for 6 to 8 months, a perfect nursery for its development. Even as it becomes fairly large, the mother patiently cares for it with dedication. Only when the young kangaroo becomes strong enough to stand and hop on its own does it begin to leave the safety of the pouch and embark on its journey to explore the outside world, just like a child taking its first steps. Importantly, the decision to leave the pouch is not forced by the mother, but is a natural process that follows the joey's own development. Have you ever seen a baby kangaroo poking its head out from its mother's pouch? But this journey of exploration lasts 18 to 24 months, nearly a third of their natural lifespan, until the joey reaches its ideal size, ready to be used for commercial purposes, from meat harvesting to leather production. To deal with kangaroos is no simple task. Their sharp senses, incredible speed, and unpredictable movements make hunting them one of the most challenging pursuits in the wilds of Australia. The first key to a successful hunt is location. In wild regions with high kangaroo density, licensed hunters in Australia use satellite maps to track the movement routes of kangaroo herds. Next, the golden time for hunting kangaroos is at night. As the daytime heat fades and darkness falls, kangaroos become more active. They leave their shelters to forage, move around more, and become less cautious, making them perfect targets for sudden, unannounced hunts. Unlike controlling wild boars in the United States, using bait traps is ineffective for kangaroos, as they are not easily attracted by food, and such methods can cause inhumane injuries, which are strictly prohibited under Australian government regulations. Instead, hunters use high-powered spotlights and scoped rifles to identify and target kangaroos from a distance, often shooting accurately from up to 150 to 200 meters away. And just like that, 30 to 70 kangaroos are harvested in a single night by each professional hunter, and around 2 million kangaroos disappear from the Australian landscape every year. The hunt is not only a reward for patience, precision, and a deep understanding of animal behavior, but also a legal and scientific method of population control, helping to maintain ecological balance and reduce conflict with humans. The kangaroos are then gathered using large trucks, preparing them for transport, and the next stage of the processing chain. Kangaroo meat is pre-processed on-site to ensure maximum freshness. And here's something you might easily notice. The kangaroo's tail is never left intact. Because the tail serves as a quantifiable proof, each one corresponds to a hunted individual. Hunters are required to cut and submit the tail as a mandatory part of their harvest report, under strict government regulations designed to protect the long-term sustainability of wild kangaroo populations. One detail you might have overlooked is that some mother kangaroos may be accidentally hunted while they are still pregnant or nursing their young. That's why compassionate individuals and animal welfare groups, such as WIRES, Australia's largest wildlife rescue organization, step in to rescue and raise these orphan joeys with care and dedication. Despite rescue efforts, only about 10 to 20% of orphan joeys are found and survive after their mothers are hunted. This also raises questions about the balance between ethics and the exploitation of wild resources. Specialized trucks quickly transport the kangaroo meat to the processing facility. At the receiving area, each kangaroo carcass is hung onto an automated conveyor system, moving them through a series of inspection stations. Workers in protective gear and sanitary gloves perform a preliminary check on each carcass, closely examining the surface to detect any abnormalities or signs of substandard quality. Inside the factory, each kangaroo carcass is hung upside down and moved to the skinning station. Here, workers use specialized knives to separate the skin from the meat with precision and decisiveness. The skinned kangaroo meat remains hanging on hooks and continues along the automated line to the internal inspection area. This stage serves as an intermediate filtering step before the meat is cut and sorted in detail. At this point, workers perform a basic assessment of the meat based on color, texture, and smell to determine its freshness and initial quality. In the portioning area, kangaroo carcasses are laid out on work tables, where dozens of workers carry out cutting, cleaning, and separating various muscle groups. Using specialized knives, they carefully divide cuts such as loin, thigh, shoulder, and ribs while preserving the natural muscle structure. Each step is performed swiftly yet precisely, thanks to the workers' practiced skills and the smooth coordination between stages of the production line. Once portioning is complete, each cut is given a final inspection and neatly arranged into trays according to type and size. Fresh kangaroo meat has a distinct deep red color, firm texture, and is virtually fat-free. After portioning, the meat cuts are placed into specialized plastic bags and pass through a vacuum sealing machine, which extends shelf life and prevents bacterial growth. Each package is clearly labeled with detailed information such as cut type, weight, packaging date, and traceability code. But that's only half of the economic value derived from kangaroos. Beyond the red meat, their hides are fully utilized, transformed into premium material for luxury fashion brands like Gucci, Prada, and Hermes. In the initial stage, the hides are placed into large rotating drums where they are soaked, washed, and chemically treated to remove any remaining impurities, hair, and fat. After hours of continuous tumbling, the hides become noticeably softer. At this point, they resemble giant sheets of sandpaper, but with remarkable flexibility and durability. After chemical soaking and treatment, kangaroo hides are either air-dried or gently heated to remove excess moisture before moving on to the flattening stage. Each hide is fed into a specialized hydraulic press, where pressure and temperature are precisely controlled to smooth and even out the leather surface. Workers then manually inspect each hide, checking for wrinkles, creases, or minor defects before it proceeds to the next step. After flattening and drying, the kangaroo hides are stretched over frames in preparation for the coloring process. An automated spraying system applies a layer of pigment to the leather surface according to specifications, which may include shades like brown, black, gray, or even high-end fashion colors. Each layer of pigment is carefully controlled to ensure even coverage, the right level of sheen, and optimal adhesion to the material. After dyeing and surface treatment, the kangaroo leather is passed through a heat pressing machine to enhance its gloss and ensure uniform coloration. Workers continue to carefully inspect each hide, discarding any with defects, then roll or stack them neatly in layers. At the belt manufacturing facility, the process of crafting a kangaroo leather belt begins with a thorough inspection before shaping begins. Using measuring tools and specialized knives, artisans mark and cut the leather into long strips with precise dimensions, ideal for belt production. These leather strips are then run through machines to bevel the edges, creating a smooth, angled finish that gives the belt a refined, high-end appearance. Next, the strips are pressed to shape and compress the leather layers, then stitched firmly using industrial machines to ensure straight, even seams. Once completed, each belt is stamped on the back with a logo and product details to confirm its origin and quality. The journey doesn't stop there. Kangaroo leather is also used to craft premium wallets with exquisite finishing. Skilled artisans carefully select each hide, using only those that meet strict standards for softness, thickness, and surface uniformity. After cutting and attaching any closures, the leather pieces are placed between protective sheets and flattened either by hand or with a specialized press. This step ensures the leather maintains a stable shape, eliminates natural warping, and creates a smooth surface for the next assembly steps. Once the leather components are flattened and shaped, they move on to the stitching stage, where every piece is joined to form the final shape of the wallet. At this stage, precision is critical. Even a slight misalignment can make the product unbalanced, or affect how smoothly it opens and closes. That's why each high-end kangaroo leather wallet carries the mark of meticulous craftsmanship, carefully constructed down to every single stitch. After stitching is completed, the leather pieces are carefully bonded using specialized adhesive. Once glued, the artisan presses the pieces together gently by hand or with a light press to ensure complete adhesion, preventing any peeling during use. The wallet's edges and corners are also smoothed meticulously to create a sleek, refined surface. Finally comes the shaping and finishing stage. The wallet is placed into a shaping mold. Its edges are trimmed, polished, and precisely edge-painted to achieve a clean, professional appearance. The surface is then wiped clean and treated with a special oil that enhances the leather's color and gives it a soft, natural sheen. And that is how a premium kangaroo leather wallet is brought to life.